Our gaming project. So in this short video, I'll just be doing a quick Faruzan review. Yeah, it's the last day of her banner basically, and I already had her since the beginning, but I'm just doing it now. So here we are. So yeah, she's a pretty good ANEMO support unit for boosting, and yeah, with most of my 4-star characters, I don't bother to level them up too much. So of course, then the mileage will kind of vary here in terms of damage numbers and such, but I don't think that her damage was meant to be a big deal anyway. So as you'll see, she's only level 70. You'll notice if you follow me that I don't really spend too much resources on 4-star characters, and I only pull for 1 unit if I can, usually. So yeah, anyway, her crit rate's really low, and her crit damage is not high either. Focus is more on her energy, because she's a support character, proccing her burst, right? And then if she can do some damage, then that'd be great too for her element. As I said in my weapon options video, I talked about just giving her energy, so that's my focus. I gave her this fishbow because no one was using it at the time, and it's okay, right? Like as long as you trigger her elemental skill, maybe, then she might get a little bit of attack there. It's not like horrible or anything. It's not the greatest. She won't have a signature weapon because she's a 4-star character. I wouldn't recommend giving her any of the 5-star options, but if you really had to give her one, then I think her best 5-star weapon would be the elegy for the end. I do have an extra copy, but I didn't level it up, and I'm not going to give it to her, so yeah. We talked about this, but other weapons that work for her are the Fading Twilight, which also looks really nice too for her, but I gave that to her Electro counterpart, Kujosara, way back already, so you guys might know that already. And then, you could probably give like maybe Sacrificial or maybe Favonius, maybe the Stringless if you really have no one else to give it to, but Stringless works better on other characters like Venti. And in this case, I gave it to Kale, but it works well on other characters like Fischl and all that as well. So there's many options, but yeah, just focus on energy. So similarly, Goro, the Geo counterpart to her, I gave him the Favonius. So yeah, I just gave her whatever I had that was energy. Artifact-wise, I just gave her the 4-piece Viridescent, because then at least the four-piece bonus would give her elemental resistance or elemental shred basically for the ANEMO or for whatever is swirled basically. So that's nice, right? Again, I already was building up my Wanderer with it, so whatever leftover pieces, I just gave it to her, as you'll see, so that's just what I ended up doing. And then for Constellations, I don't have her anything else other than C0, but, we can go through these. So yeah, this will just give her a maximum of 2 Hurricane Arrows when you're doing a charge shot, basically. Yeah, this one will give her, what is it? The duration is increased, and this one will give her +3 levels. This one will just give her restore some energy based on the number of opponents that she hits, etc. This is +3 levels, and this last one will just increase her crit damage when they deal ANEMO damage, right? So it's like, and then the cooldown is shared, etc., etc. Like, obviously, these are all great to have, but I don't think there are any, like, that you must have them. Honestly, I don't really use 4-star characters, and I don't really use buffing characters either, to be very honest, other than Bennett. So, really, I don't plan to get any of Constellations unless I get them, luckily, through, like, pulling. I left her at 666, and that's where she's going to be at. This one really just allows you to just do a little swirl area in front, and after you proc it, if you do a charge shot afterward, it can give like a minor little AoE. And then this one is where her little prism floats around and can buff the ANEMO damage, and also, it gives some damage as well when it touches the opponent. So yeah. And then also, I think she's pretty straightforward to build, so it's easy that way. And then for passives, like, this just decreases, I think, the time taken to shoot, is that what it says? The amount of the, let's see, decreased by 60%. Yeah, so the time is decreased. And then this one, you can just get basically a little bit of ANEMO damage bonus, really. And then lastly, when she's dispatched on expeditions for 20 hours, she gets a little more in Sumeru. So yeah, that's not horrible, but yeah. So in this demo, we're going to basically team her up with Wanderer, and she'll be buffing Wanderer for the most part. But to start, I will break the shield with Kokumi here. Okay, so that's her little swirl thing, and then if you do a charge shot here, then it'll give a little AoE. It doesn't do much, really, like that's just that. Her regular damage isn't going to be much. Then she'll do this. It doesn't give much damage, but it does buff him. So, yeah, it does make his numbers bigger for sure. Like, I'm not saying that he's like the greatest with her or anything, but it does definitely helps, right? Like, on her own, she won't be able to like do much. She's just there to buff, really. Yeah, and I just recently just did the one for the Wanderer as well, so check that out as well. I did the review for him. Like he's fine and all, but yeah, realistically, like, Faruzan will just buff up his numbers a little bit. So that way, at the end there, because it wore off, so that way it at least shows what his numbers would have been without her little buff. So it's a very quick review here. It's not anything fancy. She's a nice to have character, not a must have character. You know, if you need to buff your characters, then definitely she will buff your animal characters. Obviously, not just Wanderer; it will be any of your animal characters. So it's nice to have. Otherwise, her kit and everything isn't anything more different than like say a Kujosara or a Goro. So we're pretty used to that already by now, right? Or even like kind of like a Shenhe, right? So you know, she is cool in her own way, but not a must-have. And I think that's just kind of the way that it is for this game now. Most 4-star characters are just not must-have anymore. Even most 5-star characters now are no longer must-have. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my review of Faruzan. What did you guys think? Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the